Okay, so what's this? Looks like there's a video called Why WWE Wrestlers Don't Look Cool Anymore. I love the thumbnail they used for it. It's really funny. So I'm all for the thumbnail. It's pretty great. So let's check this out.
Or 2000s, I'm sure you remember watching these absolute titans like The Undertaker.
Oh yeah. These are pretty amazing.
The Rock, Kane.
It was a different age at that time. 2000s were crazy.
And other legends walked down that ramp and being completely mesmerized. These
weren't
just performers. They were gods walking among mortals. And I'm not just talking about the main eventers. Everyone from the main event to mid-card to the undercard had a unique presence, a special aura that felt untouchable and dangerous.
Oh yeah.
They felt different from your average guy next door.
Damn, Batista was huge.
Looked like he could beat you senseless in a parking lot.
Stone Cold was crazy.
He looked like he'd set you on fire if you even looked in his direction.
I think he actually set people on fire, I think. At least that's what the story tells me.
Lesnar, Batista, and Angle had this raw, superhuman energy that made you believe they were real-life superheroes. But when you watch WWE today,
but Batista technically is one now.
Stars who have that larger-than-life special aura, that magnetic energy, that unique appeal that separated them from normal people. Apart from some special exceptions like Roman Reigns, 90% of the roster just feels like regular.
That's very true. I'm gonna totally agree with that. I think a lot of times, like, it seems like a lot of like the roster right now, and I think it's because the roids. I'm sure, like, a lot of them took a lot of roids back in the day, and like they were pretty huge. So, yeah, I can see why they kind of seem pretty normal now, like not as big as before. Because I think when I saw the heavyweights champions, like the roster now with heavyweights compared to back then, size was so different. So I can definitely see that for sure. I mean, I don't know that's what he's going to say, but, you know, that's what I think personally. And I think overall with, like, I remember I was watching WWE the other day, and I'm like, man, it's so different now compared to what it was, like, you know, years ago, right? And, like, with, like, the stories, too. I don't know if he'll talk about that, but the stories were so different. And, man, they went over the edge. Like, I guess they call it the Attitude Era, so totally makes sense.
People in wrestling gear playing characters instead of living the character. So what happened to the mystique? What happened to the larger-than-life presence that made wrestlers feel special? Why did they stop looking like warriors and start looking like fitness influencers?
Yeah, right.
As someone who's been a wrestling fan for around 3 decades...
Holy crap, did he really take photos of himself? That's crazy.
I can tell you it wasn't an accident. It was systematic. It was calculated. And it stripped away everything that made wrestlers feel mythical. Here are the 3 key reasons why WWE wrestlers don't look cool anymore.
Chapter 1.
Let's get the obvious elephant out of the room first. Steroids are a major factor
that there you go. See,
relied on
roids.
In the 90s and early 2000s to achieve that superhuman look.
That makes sense.
Stars like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and many modern-day legends like Triple H and Batista used the special sauce to transform themselves into walking
they were huge
characters with mountains of muscle.
That makes sense.
Just the guys on top of the card. Even mid-carders like Maven had to put on a few extra pounds of muscle and get an intimidating frame just to survive in that landscape. This chemical enhancement gave stars an otherworldly physique that made them.
What if John Cena took roids?
The average man. You looked at these guys and thought,
dude, Batista was huge.
And you were right, but that impossibility was the point. Wrestling was about larger-than-life characters.
Holy
and
shoot!
Larger-than-life characters needed larger-than-life bodies.
Dude, they were massive.
Changed after the steroid scandals of the early '90s rocked the foundation of sports entertainment.
Oh yeah, I think that was like in the Vince McMahon documentary. I think
Vince McMahon himself went on trial. The company's reputation hung by a thread. Though steroid usage became less
holy
prevalent,
crap,
the
Rock is
stars
huge.
in the early 2000s still had access to gear and could hop on the sauce to transform their physique.
I love how he calls it the sauce.
The wake-up call came with the tragic deaths of Eddie Guerrero in 2005 and Chris Benoit in 2007.
Oh yeah, I think
both these cases.
I think they were saying that both of them were the causes of their death was because of the roids.
Were linked in part to decades of steroid abuse and the culture that enabled it. This time, WWE had no choice but to tighten the noose. Wellness policies became stricter.
That makes more sense.
Testing became the norm. The days of walking pharmacy cabinets stepping through the ropes were officially over. Stars pivoted toward a more lean, athletic look that prioritizes conditioning.
That's why, like, when I saw Seth Rollins as heavyweight,
you can see this shift clearly in stars.
This is like when it's funny, Seth Rollins right there, but when I saw Seth Rollins with the heavyweight champion, I'm like, man, he's scrawny for a heavyweight. Like, I felt like the heavyweight had no weight to it anymore. but I guess this is why.
Like Seth Rollins, CM Punk,
Oh yeah.
Jey Uso, and many other top performers. They look like athletes and CrossFit trainers with good genetics and disciplined diets.
Hey, but you know what? Nothing wrong with that. Like, if you can get buff without roids, if anything, I have more respect for you to do that than going on roids. So, honestly, I think that's even better. If you can get buff and huge, like, without roids, more kudos to you. I think you're a bigger superhero, to be honest.
From names like LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, and a few others who already had that imposing frame before signing with WWE, most stars today look like
a
personal trainer rather than a warrior.
Yeah, However, looks terrible.
Today, after the steroid crackdown, you can still see guys like AJ Styles and Randy Orton carrying a more jacked look thanks to some carefully managed supplementation and access to the special sauce.
Oh, but steroids they have it?
And beefy bodies aren't the only culprit here. In fact, they're less than 20% of the problem. These next two factors are a much bigger disease that silently killed wrestling's mystique over time.
That's crazy.
Like steroids, these problems didn't get caught. They got worse.
That's nuts.
Don't know about you, but where I grew up, the kids in our town had this genuine belief that the Undertaker was actually a supernatural being, a dead man walking among the living. We were fully sold on the fact.
So when I was watching TV a long time ago, when I watched WWE, I was actually watching it on a little small gray TV at my grandma's house. Like, me and my brother and my cousin would watch it on this tiny ass screen. So that's how we watched it. And first, we didn't even have color, so we didn't know what color these people were when we were watching. The crazy thing was, I really thought this shit was real. Like, when they fucking, like, I remember when Big Show fucking grabbed Rey Mysterio from the, what do you call it, that platform, or that thing they, what's that thing that fucking when you get taken away from the ambulance? He literally slammed to the pole. I literally thought that was real. And when the Undertaker was burying Paul Revere, in the cement, I literally thought he was gonna die. It was crazy. Like, I literally thought Undertaker was the dead man. And if you fucking had like magical powers where fucking lightning shot down, like, yeah, this shit was real to me too.
That he could control lightning.
Yeah, see right there, literally right there. Fucking crazy.
Beyond human comprehension.
Fucking crazy.
When he rolled his eyes back and only showed the whites, we genuinely believed we were witnessing something otherworldly.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Conspiracy theories that Taker actually lived in a cemetery, that he slept in a coffin, that Paul Bearer was his actual mortician. Such was the character work and the lengths wrestlers went to protect kayfabe back then. Even today,
I think he was born in Death Valley, and now he's like a normal guy.
Human being from Texas, you feel something strange, like you're watching something you shouldn't be seeing. Mark Calloway discussing his motorcycle.
Undertaker was literally the final boss of like every like a week of like SmackDown. It was wild. Like, they'd be like, "You gotta go get the Undertaker." I was like, "No!" I was like fucking scared.
Hobby feels like a violation of something sacred. That's how sacred the art of kayfabe was back in the day. In contrast, today's stars broadcast their entire lives all over social media.
Oh yeah.
The discipline of protecting
it's all like TikTok and shit.
Non-existent, and the magic dies in real time. Apart from a few names like Drew McIntyre and MJF, the art of staying in character is completely dead. You have stars going on interviews and podcasts spilling all the backstage secrets. Someone like Seth.
I feel like Dominic Mysterio is the only one that's keeping character. Like, I don't know if he really hates his dad, but he still talks about his deadbeat dad, and Seth Rollins talking about like hating CM Punk. I don't know the CM Punk one and Seth is real, but he makes it seem real.
Rollins will go on Logan Paul's podcast and casually discuss how they're planning his next storyline.
Oh.
Cody Rhodes posts Instagram stories from backstage, laughing with the same guys he's supposed to hate on television.
Oh yeah, there you go.
WWE Unreal series on Netflix, where they pulled back the curtain and showed behind-the-scenes footage of WWE programming, showed exactly how manufactured everything really is. Wrestlers breaking character, planning the finish of their matches, laughing about their feuds, discussing their relationships while in full gear. It's like a magician explaining exactly how every trick works while he's performing it.
And you know what? I think they have to do that because I think a lot of people of our generation kind of either they think it's still fake, or I think overall, because with our generation, like, they're so like very, I think definitely the millennials are very like feeling type, and they're always like, "Oh, we're gonna cancel you," and some shit. And like, I think when it comes to some of the stuff they say, what they do on the show, it's like WWE, they're just getting really butthurt by this. So I think that's why they kind of had to do the Unreal thing, just to show like, hey, by the way, this isn't really real, guys. Some part is, the pain and stuff, but I think that's just our generation, especially with the millennials. We just want the truth half the time. We're like sick of like, being lied to or something like that, or I don't know. That's what I personally think. I really don't know the real reason, but it definitely brings a different spark to it, and I personally don't mind it. I think it's good that they kind of show the backstage stuff, because then it's like, like we get to, because everyone's so into fucking like documentaries and kind of shit. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, I guess.
Now, I'm not saying that wrestlers need to live their gimmicks 24/7 like they did in the territorial days.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
was
they definitely did.
unsustainable and probably unhealthy. But if you're constantly reminding people that this is all pretend, that these characters are just roles you're playing, that you're actually best friends with your enemies backstage, there's no way to take any storyline seriously or see these stars as larger-than-life figures. When The Rock was feuding with Stone Cold, you never saw them hanging out at Starbucks together on TMZ.
That's true.
I'll whip your ass too.
When Kane was terrorizing the roster, you didn't see Glenn Jacobs posting TikToks about his day job as a politician.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, he's like the mayor of Tennessee, something like that.
When John Cena and Edge were ruining each other's lives, you didn't see them casually going on podcasts and revealing all the details. The characters existed in their own universe, and
Edge is probably one of the most matured ones.
Protected it. Today's wrestlers treat their
I used to hate Edge so much, like when I saw him every time on TV, which I guess he did a great job at it. But when I saw him on the podcast at Logan Paul, I'm like, man, this guy, I like this guy a lot, and I still do. Now I really like Edge now for sure. I used to hate the guy though.
Like costumes they put on for a few hours and then immediately take off. They're actors playing roles, not warriors living their truth. You have stars like Rhea Ripley and Chelsea Green pandering to fans on social media.
Oh yeah, they go ham with that.
Protecting their character. Even the male stars will flip their opinion at the drop of a hat to fit in with the mob and be politically correct. There's a certain lack of backbone, a deficiency in sticking to one's character and being defiant that separated wrestlers of the 2000s from the social media cosplayers of today. And this lack of kayfabe ties into the next key factor that's been in wrestling's well for over a decade.
Yeah, they sell they sell a ton of stuff. Like I think that's why they do like those meet and greets. Man, they go ham at those meet and greets. Like I see them a lot. Like Rhea, again, she always posts about her stuff with people, and like, yeah, they definitely come off really likable for sure.
H to the ropes and kissed Stephanie McMahon right in front of him. The rage, the helplessness.
Oh my god, I remember that. That was wild.
How Triple H broke into Randy's home to destroy his family as revenge? Or how about when Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio battled for the custody of Dominic?
Oh my god. You know what's about? I just watched that today. I literally watched that match today. The custody of the Dominic Mysterio. That shit was so funny.
In 2000s, WWE stories were constructed in a way that positioned stars as complex human beings with real motivations, real pain, real desires. Stories that allowed them to transcend the basic framework of championships and rankings and wins and losses. Stories that added a personal layer to the character that made you invested in their journey as a person, not just a performer. You wanted to see Jeff Hardy overcome his battles with addiction and self-doubt because his struggle felt real. His demons were visible. His redemption mattered. You could feel Shawn Michaels' desperation when he failed to win the Royal Rumble in 2010. And he couldn't challenge Undertaker.
You know, I don't remember the last time Shawn Michaels won a championship. Like, ever since I started watching, I felt like Shawn Michaels never won, but he was always part of a, like, triple threat match.
At WrestleMania 26, it felt like the end of a man's identity, his purpose, his entire world. You could rally behind Stone Cold when he declared war on Vince McMahon and the corporate machine because every working person understood that rage, that feeling of being stepped on by the boss, of wanting to fight back against the system. The stars had depth, they had layers, they had reasons to fight that went beyond winning a title. Today's wrestlers get a few generic catchphrases and entrance themes that sound like elevator music.
Like Yeet and elevator music. So if you don't know what he means by elevator music, he means like Def Rebel, because they do all their music and they all sound the same. Okay, I like some of them, but like they'll have like a wrestler say a catchphrase in the song, and then they'll have this upbeat sound. It's like, so yeah, I think that's what he's talking about when he says elevator music. And like catchphrases could be like yeet or yeah, or I think that's all I can think of, but you get the point. Or yeah, well, you get the point kind of thing. What I'm trying to say is
the best wrestler and want titles. That's it. That's the entire motivation for 90% of the roster.
Yep.
Rarely any personal stories, rarely any emotional investment. It's all about
I think the biggest one was the WrestleMania 40. I think that was the biggest story that we got. That was Attitude Era. I think, yeah, I really think it was that was probably the biggest drama story we got was the WrestleMania 40. Because I think with that one, Cody was trying to finish the story. He didn't win at WrestleMania 39, which I think people still today are like, man, he should have won 39. But I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, he should have won. But without him losing, we wouldn't have gotten WrestleMania 40. And who knows what would have been if Cody won 39, right? Like, I feel like it wouldn't have been as great. But so I'm really glad they made that decision because, man, I hate to say this because a lot of people are don't like the saying, but long term storytelling, I'm telling you.
who's the better technical wrestler. And as I said, that doesn't do anything to get fans interested when you don't even maintain kayfabe in the first place. The last truly personal story in the WWE was Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, but even that was a one-off thing. From 1998 to around 2010, you would have at least 3 of these personal stories going on at the same time. Multiple layers of human drama unfolding simultaneously. Every show felt must-see because you were invested in these people as characters, not just as athletes competing for prizes. The presentation of these stars, their aura, that larger-than-life mystique made them feel special, and that's what drew you in. The stories kept you hooked. Today, that emotional core has been stripped away. It has been sanitized by corporate committees. The passion has been focus grouped out of existence. The personal stakes have been replaced by professional accomplishments. The human drama has been substituted with
Yeah.
athletic competition. And when you combine bland stories with broken kayfabe and smaller physiques, you get exactly what we have now. A roster full of talented performers who feel completely ordinary, replaceable, forgettable. Athletic performers with great technical skills and zero charisma. Wrestlers who look like
I get what he means, but at the same time, I think people. I feel like these wrestlers are not forgettable, though. Some of them, yeah, like they're kind of there, but I think a good amount of them are doing pretty well.
your CrossFit trainer, act like your coworker, and fight for the same
You go
generic
with it.
reasons as everyone else on the roster.
I'll be
The
honest with you.
irony
The
is
tag team for the males are pretty bad, so I'll give them that. Like the tag team champ or the tag team roster, for SmackDown specifically. Oh, I guess even Raw too. It's like they are pretty boring. I admit that much. They're pretty boring. I think a few wrestlers, like obviously the top ones, are the ones that like are not forgettable for sure.
brutal. WWE has never been more polished, more professional, more technically sound than it is today.
I know
The
that was
production
funny.
values are incredible. The in-ring work is
The
better
Gorilla
than it's
Room.
ever been. But something died in the pursuit of that perfection. That raw, unpredictable energy
Damn,
made
that
wrestling
Randy
feel
Orton
alive.
kick.
That larger-than-life presence that made you believe you were watching something special, something
That's
dangerous,
true.
something real. Now
Yep.
it feels safe, sanitized, corporate. And the saddest part? Most fans have accepted this as evolution.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with what he's saying about that. I really feel like WWE now is pretty PG. It's slowly getting a little more like kind of like the Attitude Era, very very slowly, but I don't think you'll ever go back to that. We're never gonna get crazy drama stories like we had before. There's never gonna be breaking people's houses or people getting buried in cement or being burned alive and stuff like that. Okay, the last one's a little stretch, but I don't think we're ever going to get that kind of stuff again for sure for a really long time because I think we're just at a different era. It kind of works, but if you're wanting something like that before, I don't think we're ever going to get that ever again because I think that was just a thing that, well, first of all, Vince McMahon, did, and again, he's right. It's very corporate now, so I don't think we're ever going to get that vibe again for sure.
They've convinced themselves that this is just wrestling growing up, becoming more mature, more sophisticated. But sophistication without soul is just emptiness dressed up in fancy clothes. The wrestlers today aren't worse people than the legends of the past. They're not less talented. Heck,
Okay, I'll be honest with you. At least it's better than the COVID era or the PG era. I think there was one point where it was the PG era where it was so freaking boring. I watched a few. I'm like, man, this sucks. And I think that was the year where like I think Linda McMahon was running for something, so they had to make WWE like PG, like really clean. It was really really bad. Like they turned it to like it was like UFC or some shoot like that. So not a fan for sure.
most of them are probably better athletes, but they exist in a system that actively works against everything that once made wrestling magical. Until WWE remembers that wrestling isn't just about athletic competition, until they understand that people don't just
That
want to
guy
see
was
good
so
matches,
funny.
they want to believe in larger-than-life characters fighting for something that matters, we're going to keep getting more of the same. More talented performers who nobody remembers. More technically perfect matches that leave no lasting impact. More polished entertainment that feels completely amateur when it comes to creating
That's a funny
stars.
thumbnail.
Wrestling used to create legends, superheroes, icons. Now, it just creates content.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think it's also because that's kind of like our I think that's just how we see things now. We see things as more as content, not as much storytelling it was before. So I totally get it. But anyways, make sure you guys check this video out. Make sure to like it, subscribe to their channel, to Wrestle Mafia. I'll put the link below for you guys to watch. And yeah. Anyways, what are you guys' thoughts?